So the question that's been posed is, where were you on 9/11? On the morning of the 10th of September, Hawaii time, we boarded a plane with some people that I work with for a flight to Japan. We arrived at Narita and took a bus to Yokota Air Base where we were going to be doing our work. After we checked in at the BLQ at Yokota, most of us did what we usually do when we arrive at Yokota in the evening. We went out back of the Officers Club to a little restaurant and bar called the Outback, and we were sitting there having our sandwiches and beer and talking over what we were going to be doing the next day. And we were joined by a few people we would be working with who were based there at Yokota. And there were several TVs in the club, but the volume was all turned down, so couldn't tell what was actually going on. And as I was sitting there talking and looking across the table, I looked up at the TV monitor, and I saw one of the World Trade Centers with this big, thick cloud of black smoke pouring out of it. And I thought, and then said to everyone, I said, wow, that is a really awesome visual effect that they've done at that movie, with that movie. And people turned around and looked and said, yeah, that looks realistic. Then we went on with our conversations, and then a few minutes later I looked up and it's still the same picture. That's strange for a movie. You know, there's, 20 seconds worth of looking at something and then you move on to something else. So we decided that we would go over closer to the TV, and so we get a remote and we could turn the volume up. And then we found out that it was real, it wasn't a movie. And the plane had crashed into the World Trade Center. Right away, I thought back to the bomber that had crashed into the Empire State Building shortly after World War II. It was an accident, and it was due to very overcast conditions in New York. And I was thinking, well, gee, it must be something like that, but the sky looked great. I said, well, maybe some kind of, mechanical malfunction. And they just had the absolutely horrible luck to end up flying into the World Trade Center. And then, as we were watching the smoke billow out, we saw the second plane go in. And I don't think that any of us thought at that point it was an accident. We knew it was intentional. And we stayed and we watched a few more minutes. And then someone said, well, look, we're going to have to get going early in the morning. We've got a lot of work to do. So we all went back to our rooms. Like probably most everybody else, I turned on my TV and was back in my room to see both of the towers fall. Once that happened, I really tried hard to get to sleep. I had been in a war before, and I came out of the war and was somewhat at odds with a lot of society because I had picked up some habits and some ways of adapting that were well suited to me in a war, but didn't work too well in civilian society or peacetime. And I thought to myself, this is a horrible thing. But finally, I am going to fit in. I didn't change, but the world changed. So I woke up in the morning, got dressed, going to meet the people downstairs to go to work. And we all met there. Huge widescreen TV that was on, more news accounts and whatever. We discovered that we couldn't leave the building. There were these young airmen with rifles that said, no, you can't go outside. And we went from a lockdown on that very first day, kind of gently to the point where we could actually get to the building where we wanted to work by the second day. But then we had to butt heads with some Air Force general about actually getting into the building to work. And I thought, okay, well, this is the military, and we're at a war. We're at war. That means we work. Maybe harder, maybe faster, maybe longer. But instead, we were being told, no, you can't work. Anyway, we were finally able to get in and do the job that we had been sent to do. And about the day that we left, about a week later, the air base was actually kind of getting back to the new normal. The Japanese nationals who worked on the base were allowed in. Most of the things were open. But we were very insulated from anything except for ourselves and the television. It was a strange feeling, and it was maybe somewhat indicative of the things that I felt were going on for the next couple of years. This was certainly a war like no other. And I found out that being an insignificant little helicopter pilot in Vietnam, I had a lot more freedom to do my mission than I did in this war as a not very important civilian working for the military. So I tried, and I tried, and I tried, and butted a lot of heads, and in the end, I gave up, and now I'm retired. And so 9/11 started that chain of events. And I'm sorry if this is too personal. It has been personal for me.